All right, we're going to take a look at some prep work items here. And first off, most 3D printers will clean the models of the 3D printing supports first. However, sometimes they leave some, so you've got to really take a look. So like on this one, you've got some supports in here. There's those little V-shaped things. And you can get those out with clippers. And they come out really easy. I'm going to try and just do one with one hand. They just sort of pop out. Whatever you do, don't do this near your computer keyboard because they will fly off and they'll get underneath the keys. So, and if you do, you can go ahead and just put like a cloth or something on top of it, like I just did. And so there you go. So you got to check them for those little supports. There's a ton of them there. There's a couple on the bottom. I don't see any right off the bat. Yeah, here's some right here. Sometimes they're so fragile you can just sort of get them off with your finger. Nope, not in that case. All right, so let's take a look at how these line up. Oh, they don't really line up at all. Something on the lower level is blocking this from lining up correctly. Do you see this spot right here? So it's like a body on there, and there's like a 2 millimeter gap. And that's no es bueno. Now my first thought was, well, maybe this wasn't lined up and they just need to go like that. And that actually may be the case. I'm going to take another look at that. But what's really blocking them is this little strip right here. So that needs to be ground off. If I had a belt sander, which I intend to get very soon, I could do that in about 5 seconds. As it is, I'm just going to get a Dremel and get a grinding bit and grind it off. Okay, so there's that type of prep work. Now, I still like to wash these. They've been completely cured at the source, so it is okay to get them wet now, I think. But there you go. Now this thing, check this out. This is the base for the Sinoceratops. So if you put this together, look, it doesn't fit right. It's got like gaps on it. And so that means not very many contact points. That means you can't just glue this together. So I'm going to show you how to do that momentarily. Definitely put something on underneath it, because if you glue it and some of the glue comes out underneath, it can stick to your working area. So you really got to have a protective layer of cardboard or cardstock, or at least paper. And if it glues onto it, of course, it'll rip the paper and the paper will come up off with it, but it's easy to scrape that off on the bottom. So let's flip this over. So what they have here is these little divots in the bottom. And I'm going to use some solid plastic and put that in there and form like little bridges to make this stick together. And of course, the model itself, because it has 2 feet here and 2 feet here, will form a bridge and hold it together as well. But in the meantime, or excuse me, as part of doing this, we're going to have to use green stuff to sculpt into this gap right there. And there's an even bigger one on this side. So once I get that glued together and the glue is cured, I'm going to take green stuff, which is blue and yellow combined, and I'm going to fill in these gaps and smooth it out on the side and basically turn this into a proper looking base. And I got to tell you, this requires a lot of prep work. It'd be a zillion times easier if this were just a solid piece. Sometimes I use Games Workshop bases, which I have on hand, and I just get rid of this entirely. And that's actually about a zillion times better. But since I have this, I'm going to go ahead and just do it that way. One more thing, you can use catalyzed glue to cover up gaps, smaller gaps on the top, which I will show you. And you can also use green stuff, which I mentioned before. And the last thing is, I'm going to put on some sand and slate, and I'm going to further disguise these gaps on the top. Obviously, I won't do it where the foot goes, which is an advantage of these 3D prints, is that they have little divots where the feet go perfectly. Well, they supposedly go perfectly. We're going to actually probably find out that that's fantasy land. Okay, that's my video for today, and you can expect more soon.